All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be talking about the era battles. We just got news, at least at the time of recording, it's nighttime, but this is obviously getting released the next day because that's what I do. So we're going to be talking about the era battles. We just got some more information, and at the time of recording, Oppo comes to the game tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that, they gave us some additional information on what the era battles are, how many of them we can expect, and they gave us even some information leading into the next journey guide character as far as what that's going to look like, timeframes. That was a big question that I actually had for CG, was when the next, how quickly from Mace are we turning around in the journey guide? And the reason that will be important is for your, especially I'm going to say your free-to-play player base. If it was a longer turnaround after Mace Windu, if it's a long turnaround, then you can feel confident that you don't need to rush into Mace Windu immediately. But if it's a pretty quick turnaround after Mace that they're going to start releasing things again, you're going to want to make sure that you're jumping on this train as soon as possible. So we're going to kind of cover all of that and get you even more raid advice. I know we've been getting a lot of it, but I'm trying to keep up with the flow of information that they have while keeping you guys informed the best way that I can. So please like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let's give a huge shout to our channel members, as always, for their continued support. If you're ever interested, y'all know where that link is. It's down below, along with a link to Discord. Thank you guys for keeping the faith, for believing in me. And if you ever need a roster review, mod advice, Omicron, Zeta, whatever the hell it is, you guys, in these, channel members, you guys know the drill. Just drop me a DM, tag me in the Discord, yell at me, and I will make sure that I do my best to get back to you in a timely fashion. That's exactly what you're, part of this group for. So thank you again. Let's get in here. Let's talk about these era battles and kind of the path moving forward for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. All right, so I want to first just start with Oppo here. Again, we're going to be getting him tomorrow. This has been the one character that I have looked at, and I'm like, these dark side clones, and I'm like, man, if ever I was tempted to wail, it's on these guys, because I love Lord Vader. I love the dark side clones. I think it's a great idea. Like the 501st, this is my childhood of playing Star Wars Battlefront 2, so I get it. Like, I love it. That said, I probably won't do it because I'll pussy out, but, it's there. But let's flip over to the forums here, because I do kind of want to share what they released with us. So they said the new era battle Nightfall coming out next week. We want to give you a rundown. The era battle timeline starts April 15th. It starts as 4 occurrences of 2 times per week, occurring on the weeks where no marquee is running. Becomes 4 occurrences 1 time per week, occurring on the weeks where no marquee is running. Then occasionally returns. So that occasionally, let's just break that down. That could be once a quarter, every other month. Like, it could kind of follow the mythic kind of events. So I don't know when they say occasionally what that means, because that's not monthly, or else they would have said monthly. And these era battles, I just want to take a pause here for a second and talk about these era battles and what I think they really are. If we flip back over to the game here, when they first announced these era battles, right, and they put them into the game, what they said is that they were going to eventually, when they first released the new assault battles for Duel of the Fates and Peridia Patrol, they were kind of vague on how long they would last. And Egnard's, shout out Egg, was one of the guys who said, well, I don't know that they're going to stay fixed. And I was like, I'm saying they are, because they're assault battles. And so what they then did is they're like, yeah, these are going to now replace some of the assault battles that are existing in the game. And we as a community flipped out. And I would say rightfully so. That you can't, those assault battles are meant to be there for forever, right? There's people who have spent a lot of resources to get to those assault battles. So they eventually went back on what they said. They put the old assault battles back. They added the Peridia and Duel of the Fates. But I think these era battles that they're starting up with, I actually think that this is what Peridia Patrol and Duel of the Fates were meant to be. They were meant to be era battles. They were not meant to be something that was a monthly occurrence. And this is because I think Capital Games has wanted to move away from these fixed value teams, right? Think about how many of you are trying to focus on building the Battle for Naboo team, on building the Imperial Remnants, because they're needed in these assault battles, farming guides, anything like that. Capital Games has tried to move away from that fixed value stuff. It's a very fluid game. That's one of the big reasons we've switched to the new raid system. They did not want to have these things that have a fixed value. They want you to continue to have to farm new things. They don't want you to get one thing and that's going to set you up for success for forever. They need you to keep building stuff. That's been their model, and I think they've been pretty successful with that. But that's kind of where I think these era battles are falling, right? They don't want you... They want to capitalize on you spending on them now, not you capitalizing on spending on them in 2 years when it suits you. They want you to spend on it and capitalize when it suits them and their timeline and their financial statements, right? So anyway, with that said, what they showed is they have a legend here, and they're like, all right, orange is the dark side clones, green is Jedi Vanguard, purple are unannounced marquee units, teal are unannounced marquees, and then if you look at these two pictures, here, if you look over this way, here's Mace Windu. So we're going to get an era battle, 2 era battles after Oppo. Then we get CX2, 2 more era battles, and then Darkseid, the disguised clone trooper, 2 more. Scorch, 2 more. And then we get our 2 new Jedi to go with Mace Windu. And then we get another era. They get 2 era battles for those characters. And then we get 1 for the Darkseid clones again. So then we get Mace Windu, right? That all culminates in boom, you get Mace Windu. Then we're getting a marquee, with these era battles kind of flowing in between there. And when you look, we're getting more of the Jedi Vanguard assault battle or era battles, and not as many of these era battles for the Darkseid clones. Then it's coming back at the end of whatever journey guide this is, which could potentially be whatever marquees these are for here. So if these marquees are, if this is a galactic legend or something else, then that's what these marquees would most likely be related to. And they're going to be doing the same kind of era battle with them as well, that they're going to want that to be, a possibility. So then they dropped the entry requirements. Now, notice that they say at least. So the tier 1 is at least 1 Darkseid clone. Tier 2, at least 1 Darkseid clone 5 stars or better. Tier 3, at least 1 Darkseid clone trooper 7 stars or better. Then Relic 5, Relic 7, and Relic 9 at the end. What I want you to bear in mind here is the at least 1 Relic 9 does not mean that it's doable with 1 Relic 9. I've heard some conflicting reports on difficulty of you're going to need more than 1. I don't know, but it does seem like the idea, the logic here is that you will not most likely be able to get to tier 6 and complete the Relic 9 with just a singular Darkseid clone. I could be wrong, but it's not looking that way. And the minimum squad size is 2. This includes a Lord Vader. Maximum is 5 of these characters. And the one thing they note down here is Lord Vader will not have his ultimate. So that is jarring, because Lord Vader really likes his ultimate. That's where all of his mastery gains happen. And I think the reason they're not giving you that ultimate is because they know that the ultimate would Lord Vader would solo it at that point. So in my opinion, this is their way to make sure that it's the Darkseid clones that are doing the heavy lifting and not Lord Vader himself. So again, take that into consideration when you're going through this, that you are going to need to invest heavily in these Darkseid clones. Now, they did release the rewards, and they have them kind of broken out here. So for tier 1, it is Omegas, credits, and then it's a Oppo, CX2, Disguise Clone, or Scorch Shards. So notice this very important word here, or. So it is really just 7 Darkseid Clone Shards. Same thing here for tier 2. Oppo, Disguise Clone Trooper, Scorch, CX2, and there's that or for 10 to 15. Getting down into tier 3, we're getting some salvage, and then there's Kyratex, which are in 2 cards. You're going to get 10 pieces of either Mark 9 or Mark 7, and then the second card grants 15 of either Mark 9 or Mark 7. So there's, somewhere in that range. And again, credits along with that. Then there's a chance at signal data, some carbonate circuit boards, and carbonate circuit boards or bronzium wiring, and then a chance at chromium transistors or rhodium heat sinks. So that's a pretty, again, that's the way that's weighted. You're like, ugh, man, you really want to get the rhodium heat sinks there if I'm a player, and I really want to get the bronzium wiring if I'm somebody. And then at tier 5, you're going to get 10 Zimbital cards, and then either 10 impulse or 10 air magnifiers. And then at tier 6, you're going to get 5 Gerda keypads, 5 droid brains, and 5 Omicrons. So when you really break this down, and I'm just going to use the word if somehow you were able to do this with all Oppo, right? Oppo's the only one you need at Relic 9. He's going to get everything done. There are 13 Darkside Clone Trooper assault battles. So you figure if you could get Oppo, you get all those rewards 13 times. That's pretty solid. But realistically, we're probably going to need 2 to 3 of these Darkside clones. And so let's just say it's 3 Darkside clones at Relic 9 gets us the final tier. Now you're looking at only, 7 more? You'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... it'd be 9, I guess. 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So if it's 3 clones, you're looking at, 9 of those era battles to get your, as Egnard's called it, the rebate on your rewards. So again, rewards are nice. Like, I'm not going to pretend they aren't. Those are some very nice rewards, but you're not going to be able to get a legitimate return on your investment here. This is, again, he used that term rebate. Hey, you do this, you're going to get some cash back. That's kind of what this is. It's cash back. It's not something that, hey, in 2 years, you're going to earn back all of your resources and get more. This is not the case. They've moved away from that. So if you're looking at this and you're like, Phil, how the hell does this impact me? What do I need to know? I'm going to tell you right now that the biggest area you want to focus on is tiers 1 and 2. Any extra shards you can obtain during these events is going to pay dividends, particularly when you think that there are 13 chances for you to earn extra shards. So if you can make that a possibility, I would highly, highly suggest doing it, because these Darkside clones are going to be an extremely important part of the game coming up. If you're anywhere where you've got Lord Vader and you want to be farming them, the more shards that you can get from these era battles, the better off you're going to be in the long run. And obviously, it will set you up really nicely for the raid as well. And just to kind of continue on a little bit here, you're also getting them for these other, Jedi Vanguard, these other factions, going to be earning those resources for them as well. So there is a potential to earn back a lot of resources, but it also means that you're going to have to spend a lot of resources. So if you are someone who is planning to whale on these characters every single time, just recognize what you're going to have to do in order to make that happen. That this is a 2-week turnaround. So can you, just think of it logically, like, can you afford a Relic 9 every 2 weeks? The vast majority of you cannot afford a Relic 9 every 2 weeks. Like, that's what this is. This is every 2 weeks, Relic 9. Every 2 weeks, Relic 9. So, there's a part of me that's kind of like, well, you get one Relic 9 and maybe the rest can kind of, the question I would have here is the entry requirements. Is it's at least one this, at least one. So if you don't have them at Relic 9, can you still bring them into Tier 6? Like, that's what I'm curious about. I'm not sure on that. I'm going to lean towards you need everybody at Relic 9 in order to get that done. So at that point, you're looking at a lot of extra Relic 9s in order to do these era battles. So in my opinion, I'm kind of looking at them as whale food, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with letting those who spend money reap the rewards for it. I felt that it was an area of the game that was missed for a long time. It really felt like there was no reason for a lot of people to spend because you didn't get enough of it back. And now I think we are, and that's really, really good. So if I go back to the game and you're sitting there and you're like, Phil, none of this impacts me. It absolutely does. Because a lot of you try to sit there and say, oh, well, I can't farm that character. I can't farm that character. There are going to be 13 of those battles where you're going to earn a minimum of 7 shards as long as you have a pulse and you know what you're doing. So 7 times 13, right? And I'm going to have to do that in my head real quick. 7 times 13. So 70, that's what, 91, right? Someone check on that math. I think it's 91 shards, right? Yeah, 91 shards. So you think for participating a little bit, you get 91 free shards over the course of a few months. I mean, that's solid. 91 that's a nice number. And if you can get a clone trooper to 5-star, all of a sudden now you're in a spot where that clone trooper is, so a 5-star clone trooper, you're looking at an extra anywhere from 10 to 15. So you figure even if you go on the low side, say you get 10 every single time, that's 130 extra shards. So those shards do add up, and they are going to help you subsidize the cost of those clones as we prepare for this raid. So I don't know if we'll be able to farm for this raid as quickly as we got the Battle for Naboo raid, but that does make me wonder the length of this raid. That with Battle for Naboo, with the Endor raid, I felt that their compressed timeline, they needed to give us those bonus drops. They needed to give us the characters to use there because the raid wasn't going to be around for that long. And I'm wondering if this one, they're going to allow it to go on longer, but they're going to, those first couple of months is much less player friendly in terms of the drops, and that they're going to let it carry on longer to get your return on your investment. So that's my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.